I'm super excited to have both of you on. You both are just amazing women in your field. So, first of all, just kind of explain who you are and what you do.
I'm Sujata Murthy. I'm the EVP of Media and Artist Relations at Universal Music Enterprises, which is a division of Universal Music Group.
And I'm Jane Gowen. I oversee marketing and A&R for Universal Music Enterprises, which is technically the catalog group for Universal Music Group here in North America.
How would you guys say, this is a big question, but how has the music industry evolved over the years since you've been involved?
Well, first thing, everything is so sped up with social media and the internet and people having more access to artists. I think before there was sort of a bit of a wall. Everything was very set up, I guess, in a way. Like, these are the photos. This is how we want you to look. And this is what we're going to write about. And that was sort of fed to fans and the consumer. But now, I think artists are going more directly to fans. And you get a more authentic and honest look at who these artists are and even the evolution of the artist. And I think our job is to help them sort of shepherd all that material out. And in catalog specifically, it's reaching the new fan. The person every day, some kid somewhere in the US or in the world gets a new phone and they're loading it up with all their streaming apps and YouTube. And they're allowed to now, because they have their phone, listen to whatever they want. And I think, that's one of our jobs, is to reach that person with all this amazing catalog that we have.
When I was started, one of my roles was sending out test pressings for vinyl to artists to approve. That still happens today, but it's not the be all and end all of what your release is going to be about. I was there, fortunately, at EMI when we launched the Beatles on iTunes, which was an amazing moment in music history and the evolving and obviously the download. And then comes streaming. And now, particularly as Sujata was referencing in terms of catalog music, it's almost as if music has become ageless. And for us, and particularly for me in the marketing role and overseeing the teams that I do, it's become this really exciting time where you can experience direct communication with the fans and the new fans and what's happening on these trends, and really give some context to the listening of the material in terms of why people are enjoying it, what they themselves interpret it as. And I think to sort of give you some reference points, we a lot of time at the moment, we don't really even have time to put a campaign together. We're reacting to campaigns that are happening on social platforms, on tracks that people are discovering through TV shows, through films, all the sort of things that were there before. But they're taking these examples and then really making them their own and really creating that fan base within their own communities. And our job now has really broadened in being part of that dynamic, fast communication that happens between the fans. And some artists love it, some don't, but most do. And especially when you have artists that haven't seen some of their tracks streaming so well for a long time, and suddenly they're blowing up, literally. And it's really exciting to be around.
So when you guys started out in the music industry, did you have any pushback because you were a woman? Did you feel like you kind of stuck out, or anyone treated you, differently?
Without a doubt. I mean, it's a very male-dominated field. It still is. There's, great strides in, you see a lot more women at the top in executive positions, but it was definitely not easy. And also being a person of color and a woman, there's been the standard challenges that, you hear over and over again. Everything from somebody assuming that I'm the one getting the coffee, that I'm going to be the note taker, or just even saying horrible stuff. But kind of growing up, as an immigrant, my parents were always like, treat things professionally, keep, hold your head up, be proud, and carry on. And if you need to tap out, do it. But, be proud of who you are and don't let people push you around. So now that I'm in a position, to help other people, I do. And I advise them. I mentor a lot of people coming up through the industry. And, they're still facing the same challenges, unfortunately. But having gone through it, I can sort of help, just even mental health wise, just giving them a shoulder to kind of cry on and say, you know what, this happens to other people as well. Let's figure out how we can get through it. So I do, a lot of mentoring as well. And luckily here at UME, I've been working for our boss, Bruce Resnikoff, for almost 20 years. And I don't want to speak for him, but he is one of those people that he's very, just do your job, do it well. And you're the person for that job. And so now, as it turns out, Jane is the head of A&R and marketing. Katina Bynum is the head of our urban department. Lindsay is the head of our marketing department. She's been the first female to run our marketing department in forever, I think, since it started. We have Ayana, who was, head of our audience growth. We've got marketing, our operations, all are women. So it's amazing. It's like we've really seen quite a shift in sort of the executives and the leaders now being women in this company.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really felt that I've been treated differently because I'm a woman. I feel like I've been in a room where I've been the only woman, for sure. But, I'm happy and true to who I am. And I've had both female and male bosses who I've respected and they've respected me. So I think have I been lucky? Absolutely. I know that. But I also, and one of the things that Sujata said, is I mentor a lot of people coming up, and it's one of my favorite part of the role, is leading the team and also helping, younger members of the team and dealing with issues that come up. And, I love seeing people grow in their roles, whatever they are, whoever they are, and helping them do whatever they do. But I always felt that, I've always been showed respect by all of my bosses along the way. And that comes from me because I feel like I'm true to myself. And that's the kind of message that I impart to people that I work with now.
Were there any women that you looked up to early on when you first got into the business, either women who were musicians in making it or women behind the scenes?
One of my mentors is a woman by the name of Sue Satriano. She was the head of publicity at Capitol when I started. And she sort of took me under her wing and sort of, just was a sounding board and just always kind of the calm, in all the storms, things were going on. It's like, how do I deal with this? Or how do I deal with that? And what you're going to do, but sometimes you just need that other person sort of reassure you that you are going in the right direction. Cause, I had no direction. I had no, role model or whatever. It's like, oh, that's how you do that. Or that's how there was no books. There were no, young female brown people at a record label forging their path in publicity. I was the one. So there was no handbook. So she would guide me and kind of got me through, my early days at Capitol, and was a wonderful mentor. And then seeing, people in bands, like even MIA, she was one of the first sort of brown faces that was, out there. Tony Fennell from No Doubt, Kim Thayil from Soundgarden. I mean, all, I think MIA is the only female, but yes, it was good to see her face and out there representing.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned it when my first job was working for this lady called Gemma Caulfield, who was in the industry for a while, and she was just incredible. I mean, she just taught me a lot in how to deal with artists and managers and A&R people, and in the role of A&R admin that I was doing then, you were like the mum, and you had to make sure everybody was in check, and she was excellent at it. And she went on to be an A&R person here in LA herself. But also, I remember when I was first in the industry, very young, there was a female lawyer, which was quite unusual at that time. Unfortunately, she's no longer with us, called Sheila McLeod, who was Virgin's head of business affairs. And I remember her arriving at the office in a cream Mercedes. And I thought, I want to be that. I want to be like that. And she was such a lovely person, and I learned so much off her as a lawyer. But then, I can't go through this without mentioning the Spice Girls. I was lucky enough to be there when they were signed. I was lucky enough to work with them and through all the madness, through everything, and their recording process, and watch their global domination and be part of them, be friends with them, be a mother to them if necessary, whenever was needed, in terms of what they were doing in the studio and stuff. So, and Ashley Newton, who I mentioned before, who signed them, when we came to America, it was very much around that and watching their domination of America. And it was incredible to watch. And I think, they weren't ever appreciated, for their particular, as musicians. And I got to know Melanie C very well, and how great a musician she is. And they all have proved themselves to be individually such great women. And now, I heard a piece on the radio the other day, 30 years into it's going to be an anniversary of 30 years of them, and the influence that they had on the music industry, and talking about what their contribution at that time, how they shifted people's thoughts about women in the industry, particularly as artists. So, proud to be part of it, associated with it. Fun, but it was great, and I would definitely put them up there as great women in the industry.